What's up, YouTube? You got your guy Larry here, VPB. Today is June 15th, 2022. Now, this message goes out to people who are not subscribed, you're passing by. Certain people are only watching 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the video. We can tell. We can tell through the analytics how long you guys are watching the videos. Now, if you're not going to watch the video all the way through and get the message, please don't do me any favors. Don't just stop by to watch 2 minutes. If you're not going to watch the whole video through and get the message, you can click off right now. There you go. Click off. You can go to somebody else who's going to lie to you because I'm just going to drop truths and gems. Okay. Now, if you don't have the attention span to watch a 10 to 15-minute video, how are you going to go 15 years to 30 years of investing and stay still and watch your money grow? So without further ado, here we go. Some of your biggest YouTube influencers, they want to tell you on how to survive a market recession and a bear market and a market crash, but they were not adults when the last two real big market crashes happened. 2020, that was a market crash because we didn't know how serious the virus was. We didn't know how bad it was going to get, but it rebounded kind of quickly because your government pumped a bunch of money into the economy. Hence, this is why we're in a situation where we're in right now with inflation and interest rates happen to go up. Now, I'm going to throw some names out there of your biggest YouTube influencers that have really big channels and really big followings. And it blows my mind that people can talk about crashes, but they weren't around and I'm sure they weren't living on their own in the work world dealing with these issues. Now, you got Joseph Carlson on the internet or Google, Wikipedia. Here's where I got their ages from. I don't have Facebook or Instagram to be able to get their exact ages. So if you have their exact ages, can you put them in the comment section below? Joseph Carlson, 31. Graham Stephan, 32 to 33. Andre Jig, 32 to 33. Josh Pradeep Singh of Minority Mindset, 31 to 33. Now, with these ages, I'm going to run through some things. In year 2000, when the whole dot-com boom was going on, in year 2000, they were between the ages of 9 and 13. Year 2000 was the boom, and year 2002 was the crash when all these tech stocks and the tech bubble and the dot-com bubble exploded. They were between the ages of 9 and 13. I was 21 years old already in the work world. I was driving a beer truck, delivering beer for a beer company. You can Google it yourself in Union, New Jersey, called Peerless Beverage Company. I was driving a beer truck, delivering beer. I was still living at home on the process of moving out, but I was paying my mom rent because that's what adults should do. If you're living at home and you have a full-time job, you should help your parents out with giving them some money to help out. You're eating, you're sleeping, you're using utilities. You should be helping your parents out if you're under their roof and you have a full-time job. It's a difference if you're going to school, but I was a high school dropout, so I got a full-time job, driving a truck, had my CDL, I was working. When that happened, I wasn't really in the markets, but I had a 401k through the beer company. And I never forget, I took a trip to Jamaica, charged it on my credit card, living beyond my means, and I came back and I had a car at the time. I had car payments, car insurance payments. I had a Volkswagen GTI Golf that I was paying $400 a month for and about $300 a month car insurance because I was young, had tickets and everything. I needed to take a loan out of my 401k to make my car payment. And I never forget one of my coworkers said, Larry, you do not want to take a loan out of your 401k. You're borrowing from your future self. The markets are down right now. You're going to take a heavy loss. You're going to lock in that loss. I didn't listen. I took out a loan and I had to pay the loan back. But because I wanted to go to Jamaica, that Jamaica trip forced me to have to take a loan out on my future self. Now, the reason why I said that is because I'm talking with experience. If you overextend yourself and you don't have savings, that is what happened to me. Now, in 2008, if you calculate the numbers, that 2008 was 14 years ago, they were between the ages of 17 and 20. What do they know about the housing crisis? Maybe one or two of them had a house. Maybe they were still living home. I really don't know, but they weren't where they are now. They definitely weren't. I was already 27, 28 years old, married, with my own place, living on my own during the housing crisis. Now, I didn't feel it because I didn't buy my two family until I was 30 years old. Now, I wasn't working at the beer company no more. I was a longshoreman. At that time, I was already a longshoreman for about 3 years. Do you know how bad the economy was? I didn't work for months at a time because there were no containers coming in. I was doing odd and end jobs working at the beer company part-time because I left there to go be a longshoreman with my dad. I was working maybe one day a month, no exaggeration, as a longshoreman. Living on my own, married, with my own apartment with utilities. I was switching trailers at Markel Paper Towels. I was still working at the beer company. And I was working as a longshoreman trying to make ends meet. That's what I was doing. It got so bad, I cleaned out my 401k at the beer company. Now, people told me back then, Larry, don't do that. This is the worst time you're clearing out your money. I cleared it out to survive. So back then, in the 2000 and 2002 housing bubble, a bunch of your speculative stocks started to crash. Your dot-com companies started to fail. Then we had the 9/11 attacks. That crushed it even more. So that was a recession. That was a real bear market recession. How can these people tell you how to survive a market recession or a depression or any crash when they were playing video games, getting up, going to school, eating cereal? You won't listen to Warren Buffett, who's 91 years old, who was born in 1930. Charlie Munger is like 97, 98 years old, was born in like 1924. They tell you how to get wealthy, but people ignore them. They call them boomers. They don't know what they're talking about. But you'll listen to people who weren't even around, who didn't go through it. Let me give you an analogy. Let's just say Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather are telling you they can teach you and train you to be a champion. You'll be a champion boxer, Graham. Sorry, I had to take a stab at Graham because he got chipped up in the ring. He should get some lessons with all that money he's got. But you got Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather telling you they can make you a champion. Just listen to them. But you have your neighbor, your barber, telling you that they can make you a champion. Even though they've never stepped in a ring, they've never put on boxing gloves, they're telling you that they can make you a champion. Are you going to listen to them, or are you going to listen to Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather? The crazy part is people have been listening to their barber and their neighbor over Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson. You're listening to YouTube influencers who never lived through it, who've never experienced market crashes, but you got Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett who've navigated through all these markets since the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. So why wouldn't you take their advice on index funds, good companies that have a good dividend track record, that make things that people will always need, but you're going to listen to people who've been hyping cryptocurrencies, speculative stocks for the past 2 years. Now, I watch their content to make content on what not to do. I started watching them in the very beginning, and you know what? I used to follow them. I used to look up to them. Then when they switched over to cryptos and all these speculative stuff, and I started informing myself, reading books on Benjamin Graham and Warren Buffett and all this stuff and Peter Lynch, I was like, no, that is what you're not supposed to do. So I started listening to the Warren Buffetts, the Peter Lynches, the Benjamin Grahams. There's no such thing as fast money. Floyd Mayweather didn't get to where he was with one fight. It took multiple fights. Mike Tyson is a better example. He got to the mountain peaks, crashed, and now he's back up at the top again. So why wouldn't you listen to people like that? Now, if you made it this far, you got to let your money grow slowly over time, and you're going to make mistakes. I've cashed out at the worst possible times, and I'm still here good because I started listening to better people. Imagine if I would have listened to that person the first time instead of taking that Jamaica trip. I probably would have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in a 401k at a job that I don't even work no more because I started working there in 2000 and was invested into very big technology companies in an index fund through them, and I cashed out everything. Just imagine if I would have just left that. So I started my platform by saying I'm just an idiot that made a lot of mistakes, and I want you guys to learn from my mistakes. A smart person learns from their mistakes. A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. Keep following these YouTube influencers if you want. Now all of a sudden they're talking about stock markets and stocks again. How convenient. When the whole Bitcoin and the whole cryptocurrency is in the toilet. That's not a dip. That's not a crash. That is a Antarctic frigid apocalypse where cryptocurrency is in right now. And you know what? Do you know how much money has to be printed for that, for all those cryptos to get back to where they were? How are they ever going to get back to what they were where inflation is eating that money? No regrets. Hope this helps.